የተከበራችሁ የሰላም ካቶሊክ ቲቪ ተመልካቾቻችን በዛሬው ቤተክርስቲያን በተልዕኮ ላይ በተሰኘው ፕሮግራማችን አዲስ እንግዳ እዚህ ስቱዲዮ ጋብዘን እንገኛለን። ይህም እንግዳ የመጡት ከሆላንድ ሀገር ነው። ስማቸውን ያስተዋውቁናል። አገልግሎታቸውን የበለጠ ከሳቸው አንደበት ስለዚህ እንሰማለን እና በዚህ በአዲስ አበባ እየተደረገ ያለውን በቤተሰብ እና በጋብቻ ላይ ተመስርቶ የተዘጋጀው ትልቅ ጉባኤ ለመሳተፍ እዚህም ከአፍሪካ ጳጳሳት ጋር አብረው ለመምከር እዚህ አዲስ አበባ ይገኛሉ እና እዚህ በተገኙበት የበለጠ ስለ ሆላንድ እንደዚሁም ደግሞ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ አገልግሎት በመስጠት ላይ ያለችው ቤተክርስቲያን አስመልክቶ ስለ ተልዕኮዋ እሳቸው ስለሚሰሩት ስራ እንደዚሁም ደግሞ ስለዚህ በነበራቸው ቆይታ ላይ ከመላው አፍሪካ ከመጡት ጳጳሳት ጋር ያደረጉትን ውይይት አስመልክቶ የተወሰነ ቆይታ እናደርጋለን እና ከዚህ ውይይት ደግሞ የበለጠ ሁላችንም ግንዛቤ እናገኛለን ብለን እናስባለን እና ወደ እንግዳዬ እመልሳቸዋለሁ። ብፁዕ ካርዲናል አይክ ቪለም ይባላሉ እና እሳቸው ራሳቸውን የበለጠ እንዲያስተዋውቁ ደግሞ ጠይቃቸዋለሁ። Your Eminence, we are grateful to have you here in this studio of Pax Catholic TV. It's a young television for the Catholic Church here in Ethiopia, but also for the neighboring countries. We are grateful to you on behalf of the Catholic TV viewers. We thank you for accepting our invitation. And I would like to invite you firstly to introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you for the invitation in the first place. I was born in a little village at the border of Amsterdam, and I studied medicine at the University of Amsterdam, became a medical doctor, and I was offered, to specialize myself in order to become an internist in the university hospital. And that was, of course, very seducing, so I accepted that offer. But after some years, I decided to follow my vocation, to go to the seminary and to become a priest. I was ordained in 1985, and I became a bishop, first of Groningen in 1999, and in 2008 I became Archbishop of Utrecht, and 2012 a cardinal. And I studied philosophy and theology also in Rome at Angelicum. So I'm a doctor in philosophy, and in the seminary of our diocese I taught philosophical ethics and moral theology, and I did the same at the theological faculty of Lugano from 97 till 99, till I became the Bishop of Groningen.
Yes, very interesting to know about your background. Expert in medicine, you studied medical science, but you quitted your profession to become a priest, and as a doctor you could heal people with a different kind of sickness. Yes. But now you became a priest and a bishop and now a cardinal with a different kind of healing.
Doctor of the soul.
Doctor of the soul, yeah. How does it feel? I mean, you are also with this background of medical expertise you have, and now
I wrote a lot on medical ethics, and together with some friends I published a manual on medical ethics, and we are now updating it. It was also translated into English and published in Australia. And in 2022, I published a book on marriage morality and sexual ethics that has been translated in Polish. It appeared there by the end of last year, and the Italian translation will be published soon, and then I'm preparing an English translation, so
Okay.
have some patience with me, because I have to do it at the margins of the day. Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. As Archbishop, as a Cardinal, it's not easy to write and to engage also in academic work. But
Yes.
it's very important also. Medical ethics is in our time very important for the Church, also to protect, the teaching of the Church on this topic.
Sure, that's the point. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope also your book translated into English in the near future, to have it also here for our people, for our scholars, so that they can use it as a reference.
Let's hope so.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And in connection with this, also I have read sometimes, with the Holy Father, Pope Francis consults some professionals or some priests who have also a background on medical or bioethics matters, and your book or your research work is also used also in the Holy See, for...
That's why I'm a member of the Pontifical Academy for Life. And so thinking thank, for medical ethics to the Holy See.
Can you say a little bit about this commission, what the commission is doing for our faith?
Well, we have a plenary session. It's always in February, and that is connected to a symposium, very interesting mostly. And, we have sub-commissions on various particular issues.
Yeah, it's good, to have, expertise and also, this medical ethics is, important issue for the Church, and thank you for your work on this respect, on this with regard to the medical bioethics issue for the Church. And so I continue to ask you questions about your ministry in the Archdiocese of Utrecht, where I also studied at the Catholic University of Utrecht at the time. I know the situation there, and then also the other dioceses, and the Church in the Netherlands. And maybe you start also with your own Archdiocese, and then maybe also the situation of the Church in the Netherlands, before we continue with other topics.
Well, we are struggling with many difficulties now. When I was a child, by the end of the 50s, beginning of the 60s, 90% of the whole parish went to church every Sunday. Just at the border of Amsterdam, mind you. And it halved between 65 and 75, and then it slowly went down. And now we have arrived at 2.5% of all Catholics who go to church every Sunday. So that's not much. However, there is a positive aspect too, and we should not underestimate that. The Catholics who remain churchgoers, they are more believing. They come to pray, and especially when they are young, they accept the teachings of the Church. And it is very remarkable that in the last few years, and it is practically in every region of the Archdiocese, but also in the rest of Holland, Belgium and France, that young people come to the church and ask to be baptized and confirmed. And they come out of the blue sometimes. Sometimes they come from families who had no religious educational experience for generations. So they are not even baptized. And many times they meet young people of their own age and, who are churchgoers and are strong believers, and it attracts them. They want to know, what do you believe? How do you believe? How do you see Christ? How do you see God? And through them, often they find the way to the church. But sometimes people just come in one of our churches by case, and, they are attracted by the liturgy, by what they are touched by the Word of God, and become strong believers.
That is hopeful, promising for the future. And the church is small, getting smaller, but at the same time strong.
Stronger, yes.
And keeping the teaching of the church as intact, and they continue to witness the gospel of Christ.
Yes. Unfortunately, we have to close down many churches, so we have to concentrate people and a lesser number of people, parishes and churches. But anyhow, what remains is a strong community. And that will become even stronger in the future. And so I'm not, desperate at all. I'm hopeful. And my idea is, we are living now in Western Europe in a culture of hyper-individualism. Everybody, his own pope, chooses his own religion, his own ethical values, his own identity. And, but this culture will not remain. Every culture has a moment that it rose and a moment that it will fall. And that will also happen with this hyper-individualistic culture. I'm no prophet, so don't ask me when that will happen, but it will happen. And my hope is that these strong Christian communities can be what they call creative minorities. And Pope Benedict XVI often spoke about that. And he took the idea of an English philosopher of history of the last century, and he studied more than 20 cultures. And he saw the rise and the fall, and he said the rise of a culture is practically always due to a creative minority. And that is a minority with strong convictions, with leadership qualities, and who have the answers to the challenges of the time. And Pope Benedict said it quite often, so I never forgot it. That's a very good message. And that's my idea, to create creative minorities, a community of strong believers who can convince others. And this hyper-individual culture, it's empty. There's nothing, Where are you living for? Where are you coming from? And people at a certain moment like to know, what is the purpose of my life here on earth? And then they have the answers.
Yes, it's very encouraging to hear this because these young people, I remember also 10 years ago or more, there was a kind of research done in the West with young people, university students especially, and so they were looking for a model in life. What is where I am coming from, where I am heading to, all these life questions, especially the purpose of life. So these reflections will bring them to a certain belief system or certain values where they are looking for. And then these young people who are very much committed to their faith in the parishes or in the church, wherever, they chose this faith and they want to continue with this. Yes. So it is not just a mass population which doesn't have, consciously chosen the faith, no. But this group of people are choosing purposely to follow Christ.
Yes.
So that gives hope for the future.
Yeah, full of the fire of the Holy Spirit. Yes. And that gives hope for the future, exactly.
Yes. And the bishops in the Netherlands, like you and others, they are very hopeful to continue. Even the church is, getting smaller, yeah. But stronger. That is good. And at the same time, also trying to answer the current challenges, yes. Challenges of, closing churches, yes. The churches which were built in the time where a family had 10 or 12 children, yes. But now it is maybe 1 or 2. Yes. So this is a challenge. Yes. A big challenge because you cannot maintain these churches.
Yeah, that is of course a big challenge. We are now in a phase of, transmission, in a phase that, in a stage that is changing. Church is changing. So we have to get used to a smaller church. But anyhow, when that church that remains is stronger, it will attract more people. Especially people with a higher education. That's very remarkable. Yes.
It's very, very good, and that gives hope for the future, and also continues the ministry in the area in different places in the dioceses.
Yes, we started November last year a missionary project of 3 years. And at the first day, all parishes were represented, and the participants were very enthusiastic. And there was another missionary day, not of the Archdiocese, but organized by another organization on the scale of the whole country. But I saw many people of our Archdiocese. It's very encouraging. And it's a project of 3 years in which we are collaborating with a company for coaching, reorganization, that works very much for Catholic organizations, and a center for parish spirituality in Nijmegen. Okay. And we are promoting Alpha courses, family Sundays. The children who will do their first communion are young people who will receive the confirmation. Yes. They are invited with their parents. Mm-hmm. And we give catechesis to children, young people, and to the parents. Because the parents do not know so much. And then we celebrate together the Eucharist, so that these young people have at least the experience of celebrating the Eucharist. And afterwards there's a common meal. And that, bounds people together. Yes, that's very helpful to build the Christian community. And, there are many positive answers to this offer the parishes are making, and there are other activities. We started from the Archdiocese with a marriage course, and we do it at a regional level because the particular parishes have few marriages. And we did it once, with 7 couples, and we talked about the theology of the body of John Paul II. We explained the Church's teaching on contraception and on natural means of birth control. And, the question was, how will they react? And they were very positive. they said, we are so glad that we have heard it. We did not knew this. We did not know this.
No.
And that is, of course, remarkable, eh? Yes. Remarkable.
A change of course is now.
Yes, and you know, when people chose to marry in church, that is a conscience choice. You know, that is not because my grandmother is saying it, or my father, or whatever, you know. That doesn't count for them. It is their individual choice to marry in church. Yes. And that implies that there is something serious in them. And when you make an appeal to it, it helps. And we also learn them how to pray. Because, you know, parents are the first catechists for the children. They have to learn children how to pray at home. They have to take them to church so that they can feel the sacral atmosphere, see others pray, people praying, you know. And that helps a lot in order to form new Christians for the future.
Indeed, this is very encouraging. Yes. Yeah. The church as such, after the Reformation, it has, you know, the church difficulties, and even now, after this reinstalling, you know, the hierarchy. Yes. In the 19th century again, and the church flourished. Yes. But now, of course, there is a downfall. But at the same time, when you compare it with the evangelicals, the Catholic Church in the Netherlands is, as a group, as one church, a united church, is the number is higher than the others.
Yeah, the number of Catholics became bigger in our country during the 30s of the last century. Yes. Because we had bigger families. Mm. And nowadays we have perhaps 1.5 million Protestants. Yes. And 3.8 million Catholics.
3.8 million Catholics.
Yes. This, you know, we are a minority as Christians because the whole population is 7.5 million. Yes,
but as a group, the Catholic Church is the largest church group in the Netherlands. Yes, yeah, yes. But in the past it's different. Yeah, so although the number of people who practice the Sunday Mass, who go to the church, is very, very low, but nominal Catholics are so 3.8 million is a large number as a country. So it's and then from that also you have this strong young generation, very faithful to the gospel of Christ. Yes. That is very good. And I wanted to raise also the issue or the contribution of the faithful or the international communities, the people from other countries, Catholics who come from different countries who have their churches in the Netherlands, because they work together also with the Catholic hierarchy, and they are embraced in the life of the church, and that is also an asset or encouragement for the Church of the Netherlands.
We have many immigrants in the Netherlands from all over the world. That's why our population is still growing, because Dutch people themselves don't have so many children nowadays. And I must say that immigrants from Africa, from India, you know, from South America, they helped to save parish churches, especially in the western part of our country. And that is very helpful. And they are much more believing. And they have a positive influence on Catholic churchgoers, who are somewhat older, you know, and have sometimes still their doubts. They are, you know, convinced by them And that is very beautiful to see that their way of praying and adoring Christ has a positive influence on our Dutch Catholics. So we are very grateful for that. It's a blessing.
Yes, yes. So the Catholic Church in the Netherlands, but also in other parts of Europe,
Yes.
They welcome, the ministry of the immigrants, and there are structures for them so that they can practice in their own language and also sometimes also church tradition. Like I have been there in Amsterdam with the Eritrean Ethiopian community, celebrating also in the Ethiopian rite. That was, I remember it very well, that some Dutch friends of the Ethiopian or Eritrean faithful coming to our Mass, and they were very much, happy to participate in the liturgy. So it's also encouraging the local church. Yeah, it's a good thing. So we continue to discuss about the universal church. The Catholic Church is universal, but we cannot, talk in this interview many topics about the universal church, but I will ask you particularly about the church in Africa. And that's why also you are here meeting with African bishops and cardinals who gather here on an important topic on marriage and family. And archbishops, cardinals, and bishops and experts gathered here in Addis Ababa for a few days to discuss on this important topic. And the church in Africa is growing, unlike the church in Europe with a different challenge. But at the same time, Africa has also its own challenges. The young generation, the young church, but with also many challenges internally, but also with influence from challenges externally imposed. So discussion like this is important. The church in Europe has its own challenge, but also the church in Africa. So we are very grateful that you accepted the invitation of this Austin University Professor Mark, who organized this conference to discuss on this important topic for Africa. So when you discuss this issue, you met also many bishops here, and you had also shared your experience. So what can you say about the church in Africa from your experience in the past, but also now as you met also all these bishops here these days?
This is my first time in Africa. I've never been in Africa before. So Addis Ababa, that's the first place in Africa that I see. But I feel encouraged by the African bishops. They're very faithful to the church's teaching. They show that. They are not, hiding that or in veiled language. No, they are very direct, very straightforward. And that impressed me. And they are very strong witnesses to the Christian faith. The faith in Christ, His gospel, His church. And, for me as a European, that is a very beautiful experience. And when you see here in the street, you see so many young people and children and babies and so on. And that is much rarer because we are an old population, getting older every time. And that's of course a difficulty for us. So to see such a bright, young society with strong convictions, that is for me as European very encouraging.
Yes. Thank you for this positive remark. about the church and the church leaders here, about their witness, as you have well indicated. These days, while preparing this conference together with Professor Mark, I was hoping also, the interaction between the church in the West and the church in Africa. So that happened, and because the bishops who know also the situation in the West, and they understand it, but at the same time they are in solidarity with the bishops in Europe. But the bishops in Europe, they are also in solidarity with the bishops in Africa. That way, the bishops and the church leaders can collaborate and focusing on the respective challenges they are in. So it's also an encounter. It's enriching and encouraging each other.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And the African bishops understand our situation. Many of them studied in Europe, mostly in Rome. So they saw the difficulties with their own eyes. And they had the experience of the European mentality. And but nevertheless, they remained faithful to the teaching of the church, did not change their convictions, and they're still convinced Catholics. Yes, and that's great to see that. Yeah.